And welcome to the John Fitzgerald Gymnasium to the 2018 Cardinal Newman Classic, and we are going to get underway with a great matchup. Eastside Prep from the CCS along with the Sacred Heart Irish. Also from the CCS, they won the state title last year in Division I. Hello everyone, I'm Dave Cox along with Matt Fowler, and should be a great matchup here today, Matt. Great way to get the tournament started. This tournament is loaded with talent this year, and we're going to see a terrific matchup right here off the bat.
Absolutely, and Sacred Heart coming off of the state championship loss last year. I was able to talk to Coach Donovan about what he expects from his team, and he says, hey, this is the first game, so we just have to kind of roll with it and see what they run, and then they'll run their offense accordingly.
Yeah, these teams almost met last year. Eastside Prep, despite the fact being a D5 school, as we know, competitive equity when you get to the NorCal tournament, they were bumped all the way up to Division I, a very small school, and almost met Sacred Heart Cathedral. They made it to the NorCal semifinals and lost. Sacred Heart not only won the NorCal final, but went on to the state championship last year in D1. Now, Coach Lorian Russell has graduated a few players, but they're still a very good team. And I'm expecting this to be quite a matchup. I think these teams are really going to go at each other. Again, they're probably looking at this as a matchup that could mean seeding later in the season. There's Lorian Russell, head coach for the Sacred Heart Irish. They have not played yet, so this is their very first game of the year. And on the other side, Donovan Blythe in his 12th year here at Eastside Prep. And they've already played one game. They beat St. Mary's 54-38. Sacred Heart in the white with green, and they try to go for a layup right off the bat. And there's a rebound by Mina Tamello for Eastside Prep. So Eastside Prep will try to score the first basket of the night here. Underway here in the Cardinal Newman Classic. First of 4 games we'll be covering live here on YSN365.com. It's also on YouTube. So if you want to watch this on your smart TV, you can do that as well.
And let's just see how each team's kind of feel each other out here in the opening minutes. See if they like to play faster or if they like to play more of a half-court offense, half-court style.
Nice drive to the basket and a blocked shot underneath. Getting the hand up that time, Sacred Heart. And that shot was rejected underneath the basket. I think that was Demea Lewis that got a hand up on that, as driving to the rack hard was Mina Tamello. So still no score. Both these teams pride themselves on defense, and I think if you can get some offensive rebounds like they did right there, you got a pretty good chance to score. But other than that, penetrating the zone is going to be a little bit tough, as you can see. There we get a nice drive to the basket, and almost the score that time by Kayla Mahan. And now the other way it goes for Sacred Heart. Nice rebound that time by Yasukawa. Kayla Yasukawa underneath. There's the basket. First basket of the night. Milan Tuttle puts it down, and she'll get a chance for a 3-point play.
Actually, the shot didn't go in there, Dave. It's 2 shots.
And now she does get the first basket of the night. So Sacred Heart takes the lead, 1-0.
And as mentioned, a lot of these players, they're returning 5 or 6, from last year. So a lot of new faces, and when you have new faces on a team, you have to learn the offense, and there's a lot of things. So we'll see how they come out here early.
And there's a steal. Sacred Heart putting on some full court pressure, but then taking it right back is the Eastside Prep Panthers. So we're even at 1 turnover apiece. Eastside Prep will now try and get on the board. Basketball season started a little early this year. They got about an extra week, so Sacred Heart has been practicing a lot. See if they can get it going here. And always tough. You're coming off a state championship, but you graduate a bunch of players, and there can be, a little bit of a withdrawal from that season and the success that you've had. Also, it can carry on right into the next season if you have a bunch of players coming back from that experience and they would like to get back to that level. We have a tie-up. Nice defense by Mina Tamello underneath, and the possession arrow favors Eastside Prep. Great D underneath.
And you see already, I can sense that defense is going to be a theme in this game. The scrappiness of both teams. It's going to be a low-scoring, hard-fought game in the trenches. One too many steps there. So 2 minutes in, let's see how both teams respond after getting up and down the court a few times. 3-point shot won't go.
Get it across there. Nice job by Eastside Prep. Still looking for their first basket of the night. And these are teams that may meet later in the year. CCS seeds things by competitive equity. They've done that for years. All the other teams kind of getting used to that. You could end up anywhere at the end of the season, depending on your state ranking, how you fall. Doesn't really matter too much anymore about the size of the school, which I don't know if I really like that. I think it punishes teams, small schools. I would agree with moving up a division, maybe even two divisions, but moving as a D5 school all the way up to Division I, I think that's asking too much of a smaller program.
I would agree, Dave. That's asking way too much. The competition level just isn't fair at that point.
Travel underneath there by Temiola. She had the basket, but shuffled her feet just before she laid that one in. Still 2-0, almost 3 minutes into this first quarter. Sacred Heart Irish working it around the top. Man-to-man defense here for Eastside Prep. And they'll get it down low. Still haven't had a field goal yet in this game. Battle for the ball. That's going to be a tie-up. Sacred Heart has the arrow, so they'll keep the possession.
Somebody's got to take the lid off the basket.
No doubt.
Three-point shot, air ball.
That was a tough one. Some of the teams in this tournament, we're really looking forward to the rest of the competition in this. Of course, Cardinal Newman, the host team, great team. They've been super strong. You know, throughout the years, they won a state championship in D4 a couple years ago, made it to the NorCal semifinals the year after that, defeated by Archbishop Mitty. And that's a pass underneath, stolen by Temiola. Eastside Prep has been able to keep Sacred Heart at bay on the offensive end, and now they'll finally get a chance to go to the free throw line as Mina Temiola works her way to the stripe.
I thought that looked like a pretty decent attempt at a charge there, but evidently the referee saw it the other way.
Temiola trying to give Eastside Prep their first point, and they still haven't got one.
If you would have asked Eastside Prep, you don't have any points and there's 3.5 gone in the quarter, they would think they'd be down by a lot more than 2, but there's just the great defense. And
offensive rebound, another chance. The rebound by Marquez, Carmela Marquez, and she'll try to go the distance, and she's going to go to the free throw line now. Marquela Marquez.
And that's just a great offensive mindset, Marquela Marquez. She just says, nothing's going in from the perimeter. I'm going to drive the basket, get myself to the line, get myself some points on the board.
Sacred Heart was going to sub. I don't know. I guess she's coming in for the shooter, which she'll be able to if Marquez makes this one. She does not, so she'll have to wait. Temiola with another rebound. She has a couple of those. Eastside Prep looking for 3, and that one's good. Zion Gabriel drills that 3 from the corner. And now Eastside Prep takes the lead. Nice drive to the basket, going up strong. Sacred Heart, obviously, their plan is to get inside. They are the much taller team. They've got a little bit more in the post, but Eastside Prep does a nice job. Even though they're playing man-to-man, they're getting some players in help. although Sacred Heart is penetrating, and that could come back to haunt them later in the night.
Defense is not the problem. It's the offensive end.
Eastside Prep with the ball now. And that pass goes high. It's been very difficult. We all know about how the bad air, the smoke from the campfire affected football teams, but it also had a little bit of effect on basketball teams. There was a few days when campuses were closed. You couldn't even practice indoors. The air was so bad. And even though they weren't playing, if that happened in the middle of the season, it would have been much worse. Thankfully, it was at the beginning of the season. So a lot of teams made some adjustments. There's an offensive rebound and a putback. Back in the lead as Taylor Lee Upresa got that one and put it back in. So Sacred Heart takes a 1-point lead.
And Taylor Lee Upresa, one of the ones to watch out for, I was told. She definitely is going to have an impact this season for this team. And you see nice offensive rebound, a putback.
Kind of just held her position, waited for the ball to land, and it finally did. Our referees tonight, TJ Murphy and Andy Newman. They'll be wearing the stripes for probably the first 2 games, I would imagine. It's kind of how it usually works.
Nice layup there by Zion Gabriel. So the pace has picked up a little bit in the first 5 minutes. Five to 4 here. Eastside Prep in the lead.
And Andy Newman says that's a travel. Third turnover by Sacred Heart Cathedral. Sacred Heart plays in the West Catholic Athletic League, and that is a tough one. You've got Sacred Heart, St. Ignatius, Sarah, Valley Christian. That's just a really loaded midi, of course. Started to talk about some of the other teams in this tournament that are good, great teams. Bishop O'Dowd, of course. We have a team all the way from Colorado, Regis Jesuit. They've won the state title there in Colorado many times. They've been to this tournament before, and they are currently ranked number 23 in the nation by USA Today. So obviously that's a team we're going to really be looking forward to seeing, and they play the nightcap tonight against Menlo Atherton. So Menlo Atherton's a very proud, very strong program here in Northern California. So, you know, first round, we've got some great matchups. We'll have the semifinals tomorrow night, 7 and 8:30, and then the championship, third place at 4, championship at 5:30 on Saturday. So great 3 days of basketball to kick off the season for many of these teams and for us. We have a timeout taken by Sacred Heart. So we'll take a look at the bracket now and kind of show you what we're talking about in terms of teams. There we go. You see a game coming up at 7 o'clock tonight. The host team, Cardinal Newman, will play Encinal. Encinal filled in late. Mission Hills was supposed to be coming up here from San Diego. Couldn't make the trip. And so hopefully Encinal will be a good team. They went into NCS. They won an NCS game last year. See when we get that bracket back up here.
And we just remember, Dave, from last year, the Cardinal Newman Classic, how successful it was. And ironic that we had last year, about this time, we had the fires in Santa Rosa, and then we have the fire up in Paradise this year. And it's unfortunate, but in both situations, we've seen the communities come together, and it's a great thing.
Long outside shot, and that one is good. Eastside Prep showing that they can hit from beyond the arc.
Zion Gabriel again.
Gabriel's hit a couple big threes.
And Sacred Heart responds there, and then another steal. Another turnover.
Nice drive.
Third chance. Sacred Heart had 3 chances there, Dave, and couldn't cash in.
Eastside Prep trying to work it around. Nice defense that time. Getting back in the lane, Milan Tuttle. Looked like they might get that backdoor pass through, but Milan Tuttle opened up, retreated, and cut it off. Nice play.
And you see both these teams picking up the pace. A little bit more perimeter shooting from both teams. And that was Carmela Marquez trying to get the foul there. She couldn't. But Sacred Heart retains possession. And she walked.
Travel.
Sorry about that, Dave.
It's 4 turnovers for Sacred Heart, so I'm sure Lorraine Russell is not super pleased about that right now, as they've turned the ball over a few times here in this early going.
We've got 45 seconds, and you can best believe that both coaches are going to have a few things to say in the huddle at the quarter break. Dangerous pass.
All the way to the rack and the bump underneath. The foul call is going to go against Demaya Lewis. And working her way to the line is Kayla Mahan. Nice penetration right here. She found a little seam in that zone and got the bump.
That penetrating has not been a problem for Eastside Prep. It's the perimeter game and free throws for both teams that have been the Achilles heel here. That's 25 seconds.
Nice rebound. That's Mahan.
Nice block. And out of bounds with 4.8 left to Eastside Prep.
And that's going to do it for the first quarter. Teams kind of battling back and forth. And we'll take a break right here, and we'll be back with the start of quarter number 2 here in the Cardinal Newman Classic.
At George Peterson Insurance, we support the communities we serve and live in. You'll find us helping out at the Boys and Girls Club and Sonoma Humane Society, collecting food for the Redwood Empire Food Bank, and more. It's our goal to make our neighborhoods a better place. We're invested in your success. For over 75 years, George Peterson Insurance has been serving our communities and customers with top-notch service and competitive pricing. Find out what we have to offer. George Peterson Insurance, we've got your back.
North Bay Elite AAU girls basketball attending the top NCAA showcases in the country, with former players competing at the NCAA Division I, II, III, and NAIA levels, winners of 2 Pacific District Level 1 national qualifiers. For the best in girls AAU basketball, it's the North Bay Elite.
All right, ready to go. Start of quarter number 2.
And Dave,
Eastside Prep working it to the right side, right wing. Sacred Heart with a 9-6 lead. Or excuse me, Eastside with a 9-6 lead right now. Nice job by this small, scrappy Eastside Prep team. Nice block underneath by Milan Tuttle. Outlet pass ahead. And the lay-in by Talo Uparesa, her second basket of the night. She's got 4 points. And that's what Sacred Heart wants to do, get that defense leading to offense, trying to get that trap whenever they can as well.
That was one of the few easy baskets in the game. They may have another one here. Nice recovery.
Trying to work it around, but there's the steal by Eastside Prep. The problem for Sacred Heart so far has been turnovers. Nice bounce pass, but it goes through the hands of Alana Balakading. And that's a turnover by Eastside. So the lead has shrunk now, just a 1-point lead for Eastside. As we see Coach Donovan Blythe working it. Not a deep bench for this team. They only have 9 players suited up. Sacred Heart has around 12 players, so. Pass down into the post. And an easy basket that time for Uparesal. Talo Uparesal just backed in, established position, went off the glass, and now Sacred Heart leads it.
Just making herself known early. As mentioned, she is one of the players to look out for on this team.
Eastside Prep team. Back in the days before the competitive equity, they won the D5 title a couple of times. And there's a nice outlet. Couldn't quite gather herself, but an offensive rebound by Milan Tuttle. Goes back to Neva Epps. Outside, nice drive to the basket. Tuttle tried it with the left hand, but right there to mop it up is Talo Lee Uparesal. She has 6 points now, or excuse me, that's 8 points for her, and Eastside Prep needs a timeout. Let's take a look.
And yeah, as you can see there, I mean, she's just picking up the pieces. She's all over the ball at both ends, and she's definitely asserting herself in this game early. And we're at 12-9 in favor of Sacred Heart. And if you take a look at what these teams have done well, it's definitely defense. From the offensive standpoint, I think they just need to get a few easy baskets, maybe get to the line, see the basket move, see the ball go through the basket, and that will generate more offensive flow just from the confidence standpoint.
And here we go, Sacred Heart now. Leading it by 3. Little turnaround here in the second quarter as the Irish get things going. Nice rebound. Uparesal, and she traveled. Tough, she came down in traffic right there. She's trying to create some space and shuffled the feet a little bit.
Yeah, it's the last thing you're paying attention to when you have all those bodies around you is whether you're shuffling your feet or not.
Winner of this plays the winner of the Cardinal Newman Encinal game at 7 o'clock tomorrow night.
Again, Eastside Prep content to drive inside, leading to long outlet passes, but it's not resulting in points for Sacred Heart, which may come back to haunt them.
.537 to go, second quarter. Nice ball movement there by Eastside Prep. All the way back up to the top. Shot clock at 15. Off the glass, a little strong. And the rebound is Tuttle's. Milan Tuttle all the way. Offensive rebound underneath. Don't really want to put the ball on the ground right there, but it ended up into Agresol's hands, and she has 10.
One-woman wrecking crew here. 10 of the 14 for Agresol.
Yeah, they're going to have to find a way to stop her underneath. Not easy to do. And we have an offensive foul call that goes against Kayla Yasukawa.
Yeah, just a little shove off there.
Eastside Prep. Fouls.
Eastside Prep just trying to get themselves back into the game.
Nice. Sacred Heart playing some tough defense, but Eastside goes outside and sticks it. Kayla Mahan with a 3.
Eastside Prep able to regain possession there. Chance to tie or take the lead on this trip down.
It'll be interesting here tomorrow night at Cardinal Newman as the semifinals get underway at 7 o'clock. The football game will be played also as well, so there's going to be a huge crowd here for both. Should get a little crazy.
Yeah. Nice outlet pass, finally able to collect it.
Eastside coming out of it with the ball. Nice takeaway that time by Mina Tamiello, and she is able to get it all the way to the rack. Nice basket for Eastside Prep, and we're tied 14-14.
Turnover there, just unable to keep her foot from hitting the line there.
That is 8 turnovers now.
And if you would have told Sacred Earth they'd have 8 turnovers and the score would be tied at 14, you think they'd take that? I think so. Everything but the finish for Eastside Prep.
Ooh, nice defense, but she got there just a little bit late. Sacred Heart penetrating right there. Demaya Lewis doing a nice job getting that one going through the double team. You can see the feet were just moving a tiny bit that time.
Again, though, in high school basketball, I've seen a lot worse than that call the charge. Not for lack of effort. Nice steal there, Sacred Heart. Should be an easy layup, but or gets your free throws out of it.
Still tied up, and Sacred Heart now has a chance to take the lead from the free throw line. Tamaya Lewis. There it is. Lewis gets it to rattle around and in, and Sacred Heart takes the lead. I remember Amari Thomas, who played for the Sacred Heart team and was in this tournament. She is now at Cincinnati. So we kind of had a pretty good feeling she was going to land somewhere pretty good, and she does go D1. It's the third time they've been in this tournament in the 5 years this tournament has gone on. It's really becoming known as the premier preseason tournament in all of Northern California. Nice to have the out-of-state teams. We've had Oregon City, Oregon here. Regis Jesuit is here for the second time, and I have a feeling this time they came back to California hoping to win the tournament. Nice pass underneath.
That's a great offensive sequence for Eastside Prep.
Aaliyah Flukas gets the basket that time. Nice fast break, and Eastside Prep takes the lead. Takeaway underneath by Tamiela.
Since the momentum starting to shift in favor of Eastside Prep.
Yeah, and obviously they're going to get out-rebounded at the end of the night, but the turnovers, they've been scrappy. They've come up with the loose balls. That's 9 turnovers by Sacred Heart, so that's where they can make their game and shoot from the outside. That one a little strong, but an offensive rebound. The Irish finally get this one. Lucas with the offensive rebound. I think she's a player we're going to see more of as this game goes on because she matches up a little better size-wise underneath with Sacred Heart. Offensive rebound for the Irish and another takeaway. That's 10 turnovers now. Eastside Prep getting it up, just a minute and 30 seconds to go here in the second quarter. And there's a 3. Nice shot by Dee Dee Franklin. Eastside has hit 4 threes.
All of a sudden, Eastside Prep opening up a 4-point lead.
Injury situation there. That's Demaya Lewis, trainer, checking her out as we get a timeout. 19-15. See if we can take a look at that bracket now and show you exactly what we have here in terms of the rest of today and, of course, tomorrow, too. Cardinal Newman plays the winner of this game. They play at 7 o'clock tonight. That'll be our third game. Cosumnes Oak and Bishop O'Dowd play right after that. Looking forward to that one. We got a Sac Joaquin section team and Cosumnes Oaks. They're from the Elk Grove area against Bishop O'Dowd of Oakland. Bishop O'Dowd's played a game this year and lost, amazingly enough, to Oakland. So Oakland's been in this tournament before. And Regis Jesuit, Menlo Atherton will be the nightcap at 8:30 tonight. And all those should be very good first-round games.
Really looking forward to a great night of basketball. And this is shaping up to be quite the second half if the game stays as close as it has been.
Offensive foul, diving in there. Kayla Yasukawa, and she bumped from behind. That's going to be her second and the 5th team foul against the Irish.
They got to get it across the timeline here.
Nice defense underneath and taking it right back away. 3 ball on the way. Fight for the offensive rebound, won by Kayla Yasukawa. And she might have turned that over. Andy Newman
offensive foul, tripping.
Little push call there against Yasukawa. That's 3 on her, so she may have to take a seat sooner.
That's a big call. Rather
than later. Yeah, Coach Ryan Russell is not too pleased about that.
Nice push shot there. Eastside Prep.
Under 30 seconds to go in the first half. And that one's good. First long distance shot. That's Dylan Benitez who hit that one. And in the steal, but the foul call hanging on for dear life, Zion Gabriel that time. That was a pretty good foul right there because it might have saved the layup. As we see that outside shot again.
Let's see if Sacred Heart can go in with the game tied here.
Good ball movement here, very patiently working it around, and stepping back was Benitez, who came off the bench and shows that she's a very good three-point shooter.
Turnover.
Half-court shot, and that's going to do it. We are at the half, 21-18, Eastside Prep with the lead over Sacred Heart Cathedral. The teams will head into the locker room. Nice way to start things off. Very competitive game. These teams are very scrappy, going at it for sure, and expecting a great second half as well. So we'll take a break right here and get ready for the second half of play. We'll have some highlights of the first half and more coming up in just a moment here from the Cardinal Newman Classic in the first round.
Highlights presented by Meade Clark Lumber Company, locally owned and part of the community for over 100 years. With the right information and the right materials, Meade Clark is the right lumber yard. So shop where the contractors shop, at Meade Clark Lumber. Are you searching for a great high school experience? Cardinal Newman is the only Catholic college preparatory high school in Santa Rosa. Be a part of a community where you will be known and supported during these key years of growth. Be a part of a fun and positive student body who embraces challenge and responsibility through faith, academics, service, visual and performing arts, and competition. Learn how to apply at cardinalnewman.org.
At George Peterson Insurance, we support the communities we serve and live in. You'll find us helping out at the Boys and Girls Club and Sonoma Humane Society, collecting food for the Redwood Empire Food Bank, and more. It's our goal to make our neighborhoods a better place. We're invested in your success. For over 75 years, George Peterson Insurance has been serving our communities and customers with top-notch service and competitive pricing. Find out what we have to offer. George Peterson Insurance, we've got your back.
North Bay Elite AAU girls basketball attending the top NCAA showcases in the country, with former players competing at the NCAA Division I, II, III, and NAIA levels, winners of 2 Pacific District Level 1 national qualifiers. For the best in girls AAU basketball, it's the North Bay Elite.
Thankfully, it was at the beginning of the season, so a lot of teams made some adjustments. And welcome back. We're going to take a look at some highlights of the first half of play. Eastside Prep with a 3-point lead. Let's take a look.
Well, as we wait for those highlights, David, and here we go, you can see that Sacred Heart is dominating inside thanks to Upresi, as we've called her name a lot tonight, and we'll see what Sacred Heart can do in the second half, only down by 3, 21-18.
There's a classic post up by Lee Eperesol, and that's what Sacred Heart did a lot of in that first half of play, just getting the ball down low. Offensive rebound right here lands in her hands. She led all scorers with 8 points in that first half, really keeping Sacred Heart in the ball game and doing a great job with that. Under 30 seconds to go in the first half. And there's the lone 3-point basket for Sacred Heart. We'll take a look at Eastside Prep highlights in just a moment. Sacred Heart trailing by 3. Tuttle to the basket, strong, no good. The rebound falls into the hands of Zion Gabriel. Rebounding advantage for Sacred Heart. Eastside Prep by 3. Nice, strong basket attempt there, but Lewis ends up with the rebound for Sacred Heart. And here come the Irish.
Tuttle has been not shy when it comes to driving to the basket. Let's see what she can do.
Offensive rebound again for Sacred Heart, and going to the line is Yasukawa. She had 3 personal fouls in the first half, so Kayla's going to have to be very careful And obviously Eastside Prep countering with Aaliyah Flukas getting some size on the floor.
And you can bet, as you see Yoshikawa there trying to complete that layup, you can bet that Eastside Prep is going to drive inside and try to get her to foul out of the game.
Flukas, a 5'11" sophomore. Second one good. So Yasukawa pulls Sacred Heart to within 2. Full court pressure creates a 3-on-1. Flukas, nice bounce pass, but it's taken away.
That's great defense by Sacred Heart.
Tamiello has it stripped out of her hands, and Sacred Heart gets an easy bucket at the other end by Lewis. And just like that, we're tied back up at 21-21.
Jemiah Lewis, the junior forward.
Into the corner it goes. Eastside Prep loses it again. Sacred Heart turning up their defense a notch or two, and the bump. Carmela Marquez is going to the line, and Zion Gabriel picked up the personal foul.
Camila Marquez, the guard, the junior, she's had a lot to say about this game so far. As you see her fast break attempt, and that was
the basket earlier by Lewis.
Yep. And you just can sense that Sacred Heart has more of an attitude, more of an oomph to their step coming out of the locker room. Nice work inside by Eastside Prep to get themselves to the line.
This is Leah Flukas at the line, and she gets that one to tie the game. So 22-22, shaping up to be a good one here in the first round, first game of the night here in the Cardinal Newman Classic for 2018. Up top it goes. Now they swing it left side, looking into the post. Nice drive and dish, and the easy lay-in that time by Lewis. But credit Lee Eparesol for creating that as she drove to the basket, drew the defenders, and laid it right into Lewis's hands. So a 2-point lead now for Sacred Heart. Irish pressing. The Panthers handle it. Tamiello underneath, and she hit the line.
That is great defense by Sacred Heart. I mean, they're just swarming all over the ball.
Mina Tamiello has been held in check pretty well tonight by the Sacred Heart defense. Mentioned the fact that Sacred Heart won the state championship last year, D1. Talo Lee Eparesa was a starter for that team last year. Tuttle played quite a bit also. She was a point guard on that team, and she had an impact in that state championship run. Bounce pass underneath. But of course, Amari Thomas was the star of the show for Sacred Heart last year in Division I. I remember Cardinal Newman, we were talking about competitive equity as the basket dropped for Marquez. Cardinal Newman got bumped all the way to the Open Division after winning the state D4 title 3 years ago. And 2 years ago, they weren't really expected to go far, and they made it all the way to the NorCal Finals. They lost to Archbishop Mitty in the Open Division. That was a very proud moment for this Cardinal Newman girls program. Eastside Prep trying to penetrate the zone, and all the way to the rack through the big bodies. Dee Franklin got that to drop.
What a shot by Franklin.
Yeah, that was a good one. Franklin is just 5'4", going up against the taller bodies, but the Irish respond at the other end.
Lewis
Yasukawa.
again.
And that one drops. That one's going to count for Flukas. The sophomore will go to the free throw line now with a chance for an old-fashioned three-point play.
So, Dave, it's really picked up here in the second half.
Yeah, again, it's Sacred Heart's first game of the year, so they're working out tons of kinks. And obviously their energy has picked up quite a bit in the second half. Lucas can't complete the three-point play, and Raina Jackson has the rebound.
Nice steal.
Dee Dee Franklin, nice stop. Let the defender go by with the jump stop, and she lays it in, tied at 28. Into the corner it goes. That one a little strong. Franklin coming out of the pack that time with the basketball for Eastside Prep. Off the mark, Yasukawa, or check that, that was Molly Lampkin who's in the game for the first time. Tallest player on either team, but Eastside Prep takes it back away and scores. 30-28. Lampkin at 6'3". She's just a sophomore.
That's a rare miscue by Upresi. She just lost the ball.
And a foul call going against Sacred Heart. Milan Tuttle, a little reach in right there. It's her first personal foul. Third team foul against the Irish. Ryan Russell using his deep bench. Nice block by Lampkin. The other way it goes, and the
nice
lay-in,
layup by
that time by Marquez. Oh, heads-up play at the other end by Dee Dee Franklin. She bounced it off one of the Sacred Heart players' knees.
And you can see here the easy lay-in by Marquez. That was one of the easier lay-ins of the night. Offense has been hard to come by, but easier in the second half, I might add.
Yeah, his team's definitely picked up the pace a little bit. Maya Lewis with the rebound, looking to go coast to coast. Gets her own miss. Blocked by Flukas, but she stays with it. 2 offensive rebounds and a basket.
Third time's a charm.
That was determination. She not only dribbled the length of the floor, but got 2 offensive rebounds. Blocked by the Irish. Marquez looking to get inside. Nice spin and fade. Lampkin battling with Flukas, the 2 sophomores going at it, and it's a tie-up with the possession arrow pointing Eastside Prep's way.
I would say from a momentum standpoint, as you see here, not once, not twice, but 3 times, I would say that the momentum is convincingly on the side of Sacred Heart. But both teams playing hard.
There's another one. See that fade away, and then the tie-up, the 2 sophomores. And there's Lampkin coming down with a rebound now at the other end. Lampkin making an impact.
And you look at Carmela Marquez, she just has really ramped up her offensive intensity. Every time down the floor, she's a threat to score.
There's Lampkin. Flukas taps it away, but Marquez is right there for the loose ball. Marquez has had 7 points here in this third quarter, and it's a 4-point lead for the Irish. Oh my, the ball just got stuck.
How often do you see that?
I want to see Andy Newman jump up there and try to get it. Lampkin gave it a shot. Now, this is an interesting time to bring this up. Regis Jesuit actually has a player that can dunk. aren't many high school girls basketball players that have ever dunked, particularly in a game. And we may see that. Lampkin had to use the ball. She even gave it a pretty good shot. She got close at 6'3".
She did.
Here it is again, getting stuck between the rim and the backboard.
Didn't we see that in the Warriors game about a week ago?
It happens. A lot of the NBA guys don't even really have to jump, go tippy toe, and they can tap it right out of there. Corner three on the way, no good. Nice position by Marquez. And here comes Sacred Heart trying to add to a 4-point lead, and Marquez takes it all the way to the rack, scores it, and draws the foul. Terrific open court play by Carmela Marquez.
Carmela Marquez taking over as you see her go from one end to the other, 94 feet. She's rewarded with a 3-point play opportunity.
Made it right through the big bodies, and now she'll try to create the 3-point play. Doesn't get it. Still had a heck of a quarter. Under 30 to go here in the third. Up top it goes. Eastside prep, no good. Lucas underneath, nice rebound.
Just call that a pass.
Lucas.
That's what you do with that one. Just call it a pass.
Give her assist. Under 10 now. Sacred Heart looking to finish the quarter strong. Feed underneath, and right there on the backside. Not sure if the pass was intended for Kaloli Uparesa, but she ended up with the ball, and that's the way the third quarter comes to an end. A 6-point lead for Sacred Heart. They now lead at 38-32. Quite a turnaround as they score 20 points in the third. We'll take a break right here and be back with the start of quarter number 4 here in the first round of the Cardinal Newman Classic.
Highlights presented by Meade Clark Lumber Company, locally owned and part of the community for over 100 years. With the right information and the right materials, Meade Clark is the right lumber yard. So shop where the contractors shop, at Meade Clark Lumber. Are you searching for a great high school experience? Cardinal Newman is the only Catholic college preparatory high school in Santa Rosa. Be a part of a community where you will be known and supported during these key years of growth. Be a part of a fun and positive student body who embraces challenge and responsibility through faith, academics, service, visual and performing arts, and competition. Learn how to apply at cardinalnewman.org.
At George Peterson Insurance, we support the communities we serve and live in. You'll find us helping out at the Boys and Girls Club and Sonoma Humane Society, collecting food for the Redwood Empire Food Bank, and more. It's our goal to make our neighborhoods a better place. We're invested in your success. For over 75 years, George Peterson Insurance has been serving our communities and customers with top-notch service and competitive pricing. Find out what we have to offer. George Peterson Insurance, we've got your back.
All right, we're ready to go with the start of the fourth quarter. That was a big third quarter, Matt, for Sacred Heart. They were down 21-18. They put up 20 points in that quarter, although Eastside Prep did score. They're now down by 6. They've been ahead most of the night, so this will be an interesting fourth quarter.
You got to feel like if Eastside Prep isn't able to come back in this game.
Lampkin and Flukas battling underneath. The two sophomores going at it, and a tie-up is called. Lampkin came down with the ball, but Flukas was right there.
It's a little bit of a late call. The officials tried to let him sort it out, but eventually the jump ball had to be called. I was saying if Eastside Prep ends up losing this game, they're going to look back on it, and it'll be pretty demoralizing given that they've been up most of the game.
Now we talked about Sacred Heart, this being their first game. Eastside Prep did defeat St. Mary's of Berkeley 54-38, so they have at least one game under their belt as Zion Gabriel sticks her third 3 of the night from that left wing. Nice shot. That's a nice shot. Boom, all net.
And we've seen three-pointers flow more easily. Ever since the first quarter, don't you think, Dave, that this game has just flowed from an offensive standpoint? It was stagnant, but now it's free-flowing.
Outside shot, no good. Lucas comes down with the rebound. She She's had 3 boards off the bench for Eastside Prep. Gabriel with another 3. Zion Gabriel starting to heat back up. She had a couple 3s in the first half. Now she has 4, 12 points on the night for her. Pretty close to a foul right there, but Eastside Prep gets away with the steal. Gabriel out in front of the pack, but the pass is too strong, so both teams with a turnover right there. 38-38, Eastside Prep has closed it out. There's Coach Donovan Blythe. So we see Lampkin checking out.
One shaping up to be a good finish. All tied up at 38. We'll see who can break out.
Marquez with the left hand, nice move. What a second half for Carmela Marquez. She didn't score in the first half.
It was too easy for her.
Here come the Irish. Dylan Benitez gets it ahead to Lewis. And Lewis now has 9 points. Great game for Lewis. It's back up to a 4-point lead for Sacred Heart. 5:53 to go. A lot of time. Eastside Prep trying to stay calm, but there's a travel. That's their 10th turnover of the night.
And as you can see, just Lewis just cherry picking, easy. And if Eastside Prep wants to win this game, they have to clean things up on the defensive end, but they'll get the ball back here as Marquez palmed it.
Got a good game coming up next. Casumnas Oaks from Elk Grove taking on Bishop O'Dowd of Oakland, and that one goes down for Gabriel. Another 3 for her.
Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. She got the ultimate shooter's roll on that one.
Yeah, good shooters tend to get those, and there's a travel. Sacred Heart turns it over again. Eastside Prep only down by 1. Check this out. She might have even been fouled a little bit late after the shot, but we have a timeout taken, so we'll take a break right here. 5:23 to go. It's 42-41.
North Bay Elite AAU girls basketball attending the top NCAA showcases in the country, with former players competing at the NCAA Division I, II, III, and NAIA levels, winners of 2 Pacific District Level 1 national qualifiers. For the best in girls AAU basketball, it's the North Bay Elite. Highlights presented by Meade Clark Lumber Company, locally owned and part of the community for over 100 years. With the right information and the right materials, Meade Clark is the right lumber yard. So shop where the contractors shop, at Meade Clark Lumber.
Here we go, start of quarter number 4. Sacred Heart by 1. And the Irish get a rebound. Nice job by Gabriel trying to bat that away, but the Irish hang on.
Now 5 minutes left here, and we'll see who can come through in crunch time down the stretch.
Sacred Heart Cathedral Prep of San Francisco, and the basket by Lewis. Up by 3, Eastside College Prep. Palo Alto area, both of these teams very proud programs. 2 of the strongest year in and year out from the Central Coast section. Franklin doesn't get the friendly roll, and it ends up in the hands of Marquez. The Irish running the floor out in front to Temiola, and she lays it in. Big basket right there by Talo Lee Eperisa. And a takeaway by the Irish. No good. With the left hand, Tuttle. Great offensive board and puts it up with the left hand, and Coach Donovan Blythe is going to take a timeout.
All of a
as
sudden,
the lead is now up to 7. That was a
Yeah.
great sequence.
And as you can see here, just in the passing lane, Tuttle gets it up ahead. And an easy lay-in for...
It was an offensive board by Tuttle on that one.
Right. And what do you think is going through the mind of Eastside Prep right now?
Well, I think they have to get their defense going again. That's where they made their living, was on turnovers, and Sacred Heart's done a much better job in the second half of not turning the ball over, and thus they lead by 7. So they've got to get back into that scrappy, get in the lanes, try to steal the ball, get in help defense, and try to create some threes at the other end. That was the other thing that really helped them in that first half, was their outside shooting. It's tough to get inside and score against Sacred Heart. So the three-point line is going to have to be where they heat it up again.
Right. And there's a lot of time left in this game. We got 4 minutes and 11 seconds, so.
Yeah, no doubt. We've got time, and Eastside Prep, you know, they're thinking positively. Second game of the year. They'd love to get into the semifinals. You get in the semifinals, you're guaranteed to be in the third-place game. So the first game win is huge when you're in a tournament like this.
Right, and when you got Zion Gabriel shooting threes the way she has and getting rolls off the rim for three-pointers, you're always in the game, only down by 7 here.
Lucas cuts in, tries to dish out to Tamiulau, and she couldn't hang on to the pass. So I think conditioning early in the season in a game like this is huge also.
And I mean, you don't want to make too much out of, okay, it's the first game of the season, but you always want to start your season off on the right note.
And the way things go in terms of the way seeding is done later in the season, a lot of times the only thing they have to compare two teams is a head-to-head matchup, even if it happened in November.
Right.
When they're in March, they say, well, Eastside Prep lost to Sacred Heart or vice versa, so we have to give them the higher seed. And that's why coaches, you know, players, I agree with you. They kind of look at, hey, it's a long season, whatever, it's our first game. Coaches understand how important those head-to-head matchups can be early in the season, especially non-league ones.
I mean, we understand this is not the sport of football. There's more games, but every win to coaches, I think, is more important than players. Not that players don't want to win every game, but it's just the reality of the schedule.
Cosumnes Oaks and Bishop O'Dowd waiting in the wings. They'll be our second game of the night as we get a nice move by Lucas. She ends up going up with a little baby skyhook down in the post, but defensively, they do end up getting back. Tamiulau ends up with the rebound. I didn't think they were going to make it back, but nice job by Milan Tamiulau to close the gap, come up with the rebound. Eastside Prep trying to creep back in, and they'll get a couple free throws as working her way to the line, Kayla Mahan.
And that was a great decision by Kayla Mahan, as you see this little stutter step right here.
Lucas with that sky. She even went off the glass with that. That was pretty.
Did she call that, you think?
I don't know.
Well,
couldn't tell you that. I'm a little too far away, but maybe we can ask her later.
I think she called it.
Eastside Prep has struggled at the free throw line. They got an offensive rebound, but the Irish take it back away. Nice job to step in front of that one by Dylan Benitez. Sacred Heart up by 5. Looking to add to that as we go under 3 minutes.
And Eastside Prep really needs to play almost a perfect game here these last 2.5 minutes.
And there's a 3. That's a big one right there by Benitez. She got the steal at the other end, gets the look, and scores offensively. It's an 8-point lead now for Sacred Heart. Tamiulau tries it from the outside. There's Benitez with a rebound. Carmela Benitez coming alive here. Excuse me, Dylan Benitez. Lee Uparesa tries to penetrate, ends up dishing it up top. Sacred Heart in no rush right now.
It's a good strategy by Sacred Heart. Use some clock. You're up by 8.
Coach Monica Myrtle for Cardinal Newman watching this game intently. If they're able to knock off Ensenal, they'll play the winner of this game. Couple of shots right there that don't fall. Lee Uparesa had 2 good looks right there, and now the foul at the other end, so 1-1. Eastside Prep will go to the line, as reaching in that time was Milan Tuttle. That's her second personal foul.
Either of these buckets could have put it away for
This
Sacred.
is Benitez hitting that earlier three.
Right, and you thought that that was the dagger, and it may prove to be, but those two other shots that didn't go in, we'll see what that does. Depends on free throws here.
Wow, have they struggled from the
They
free throw
have.
line. I know what they're working on next week. They get the steal, however. Off the mark on that three by Gabriel, but an offensive rebound. Flukas comes down with it. Temiolo trying to get it inside. They have to get it back up to the top.
At this point, they just need to score any way they can, but they're settling for threes, and I think that's going to be their undoing.
Yeah, Lewis tried that one, and a 30-second timeout taken. Well, this is the way we kick things off in this tournament. A little bit of a small crowd, two teams from out of the area, but you can bet that as the night goes on, the crowd will get bigger. The games are going to get extremely intense. Regis Jesuit just walked in the house, so they've got a long wait. They've got till the 8:30 game tonight, so they're all the way here from Aurora, Colorado, and ranked 23rd in the country by USA Today. So, and I know the last time they were here, they were disappointed with the outcome. They came back. They waited a year. They took a year off. They come back this year looking to win this thing.
Dave, you know what they're going to do? They're going to go into the hospitality room, get something to eat, relax, and then they're going to come out firing. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, you see it there down at the bottom of that bracket. Regis Jesuit plays Menlo Atherton.
Watch out, Menlo Atherton.
Yeah, well, Menlo Atherton is a great team, too. They've got a very proud program. They've been in this tournament. They know the drill. They know that they come up here expecting great competition. Some teams will shy away from a tournament like this early on because they don't want their kids to get discouraged and they don't want the blemishes on the record if they lose. But other teams say, hey, give us your best. This is a great way to open our season. See what we need to work on and see how good we really are. Nice drive to the basket. And the foul as Tuttle is able to penetrate and score. That is a big one for the Sacred Heart Irish.
That's going to do it. I'm calling it right now. Up by 10 with 59 seconds remaining.
There you see that nice drive to the basket.
And Dave, you do have to kind of feel for Eastside Prep here. I mean, they were up the whole game, and I think they just ran out of gas. They played such hard defense in the first quarter, and they just couldn't keep it going for the full 32 minutes. Still here for some icing on the cake.
Nice job by Eastside Prep to get the offensive rebound. 54-43. Nice basket at the other end by D.D. Franklin, slicing to the rack. Eastside Prep not willing to go away easily. However, with just 20 seconds to go, Sacred Heart looks like they are in the winner's bracket.
They are, and if you're Sacred Heart right now, just get off the floor without having any injuries. You saw two bodies go down there for Sacred Heart. Fortunately, got up and everybody's okay, but good win for Sacred Heart here. Good comeback win.
So Sacred Heart does it. Big second half for them. They trailed, remember, 21-18 after the first half. So that was huge, being able to do that in the second half right there and win this game. 54-45. They'll play the winner of the Cardinal Newman Encinal game. That will be the 7 o'clock game tonight. Whoever wins that one, that's going to be a tough one. Sacred Heart's a good team, and they showed it. They took them a while to get going. First game of the year, I think that was kind of the problem. They needed to kind of settle in, figure out their rotations, and once they did, they played very well.
Well, Dave, they scored 36 points in the second half after only scoring 18 in the first half. I think that's all you have to look at, and then just both teams' defensive intensity turned up, but for Eastside Prep, they only scored 24 points in the second half, and obviously you just do the math there. It just wasn't enough.
All right, that's it for game one. It's a good one. Sacred Heart wins it 54-45. We'll be back in just a moment with game number 2, Bishop O'Dowd and Cosumnes Oaks.
Are you searching for a great high school experience? Cardinal Newman is the only Catholic college preparatory high school in Santa Rosa. Be a part of a community where you will be known and supported. during these key years of growth. Be a part of a fun and positive student body who embraces challenge and responsibility through faith, academics, service, visual and performing arts, and competition. Learn how to apply at cardinalnewman.org.
At George Peterson Insurance, we support the communities we serve and live in. You'll find us helping out at the Boys and Girls Club and Sonoma Humane Society, collecting food for the Redwood Empire Food Bank, and more. It's our goal to make our neighborhoods a better place. We're invested in your success. For over 75 years, George Peterson Insurance has been serving our communities and customers with top-notch service and competitive pricing. Find out what we have to offer. George Peterson Insurance, we've got your back.